Hi guys, welcome to a watercolor tutorial. Today we're going to be painting this baby Jesus in a manger. I loved painting this. We also incorporated some salt to give our background a really nice whimsical effect. Let's jump right in and get started. Let's go over our supplies. So right here I have my 2 water cups. I have one for warm, one for cool water. I have here my dryer. I got this on Amazon and I'm able to dry my layers very quickly. I have my tapping cloth where I tap excess water on here handy. I also have my Winsor & Newton watercolor palette. You'll see all of these colors that I use inside your ebook that's emailed to you. I have right here my bleed proof white. This is my Dr. Martens. I use it all the time. It's a very pigmented white. It's awesome. These are the brushes that I use all the time. I love this particular brush because the bristles are very soft and I can get a very nice pointed tip so I can get lots of detail. So the size I use a lot is size 8, 12, and 4, and this is a silver black velvet brush. I have the Premium Marketing palettes as well. I have the Vintage Pastel, I have the Currents Pastel, and the Shimmering Lights that I will use in my paintings. Today I'm using the Shimmering Lights. I also recommend having masking tape. Any painter's tape from the dollar store works perfectly fine. I like to paint my paintings down. I like when it leaves a border, and it's really nice if you have an extra cardboard sheet handy that you can move your projects around and not be tied down to your desk. You'll also see I'm a messy painter, so this has definitely helped contain some of the mess on my desk. Okay, so to mix up a skin color, I'm gonna choose a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow, and I try to do equal parts, and it is handy if you have a scratch piece of paper in front of you to test out your skin tones as well. And I added a little bit of blue as well to this. It kind of dulls down the color a bit. Okay, I'm adding a little bit more pinkish. And I want to check, I want it to be a little bit more red. Yeah, that's good. Okay. And I'm gonna let that dry. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna come in with a brown. So let's mix up a really nice brown color. I already had some green here in my palette, so automatically I'm gonna have a nice color here. So with this greenish, brownish color, I'm gonna come in and I am going to start on my stable. And I'm gonna apply that first layer. I'm going to try to skip around a little bit so that I can get some fine lines here so that each individual part will look separate and not the same. And I'm going to dry this so I can get that effect. So for the stable part, I'm going to again come in to my palette and I'm going to mix up a darker color just because we're going to get some shadows down now, especially like under here. We can come in and shadow. So we're going to do the wet on dry technique. The wet on dry technique is basically how you layer with watercolor. You have to let your layers dry and then you can come in and create depth with this technique. You'll see that I have a harsh line right here. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to blend this out by using just water like that. So now I have a really nice soft blend do it on the other side as well. You'll see I'm just really touching the line. I'm not so much going into my middle or even towards this inner part, just sticking with that line. Okay, that's done. I'm going to come in and kind of repeat what I just did over here. Get some shadows going. Okay, I'm gonna dry it. Okay, so we're gonna try to get like a really nice effect to this. So I'm going in with a wash, which is more water than paint, in my brush, and I'm gonna come in and just start to do kind of like little lines that will mimic what wood would look like. Just little lines coming from it. And I'm going to dry it. I'm going to come in again with a second layer. This layer is going to be a little bit darker than the other one when it dries. So I want to have different variations. I want to have light shades. I want to have darker lines. And this helps build up the layers that we'll need to have a really realistic looking stable. Okay, cool. So using this same brown color that I already have mixed up, I'm going to come in and again, I'm going to be working in sections here, and I'm going to be filling out my manger. So I'm going to dry this. And when I get to the top, I'm just going to do like little flicks for the hay in here like that, trying to avoid it. I can come into my bottom. And you're going to see that I have some stripes here. I'm just going to skip over them for now and paint the same color and tone of brown all the way over, skipping that line. We'll get to that. Again, when we get to the top, we're just going to do some loose jagged lines because this is where the hay is going to be. Like that. Okay, then I can come in with slightly darker color brown.
And you'll see I'm moving pretty quickly. I'm not so worried about my lines being absolutely perfect here. Wood, it's not perfect. I can imagine back in this day, it didn't look perfect either when they were cutting it. So I am not trying to be perfect with my lines at all. Okay, I'm gonna dry it. So now I can come in and do the same thing as before with that wet on dry technique. I can come and create my shadows. I'll shadow this down here, blend it out. And I am gonna come in here and shadow in here. Getting my water, I'm gonna blend out this line because I do want it to look a little bit darker than those ones. So I'm gonna dry this again. And repeating what I just did with the stable, I'm gonna come in and just create some wood lines. Creating a distressed look here. You can do come in with an even darker tone here. Okay, and I'm gonna add a yellow tone now to this. And I'm gonna do my straw. And I'm just gonna do little flicks like this. You're gonna see I'm gonna start to leave some white space as well. I'm not gonna completely cover everything. Trying to not get into little baby Jesus's hair. White space is when we leave gaps in our page. So you'll see here I have not completely covered it, and this is how we create some depth and dimension. Okay, I'm gonna dry it. With the darker tone, I can come in and just do a little bit of shadows. So when you're doing your shadowings, you wanna make sure that you let your first layer shine through as well. You don't want to completely cover it. I want more yellow in this. And then for his blanket, I'm going to come in and do a really nice soft blue color. And I'm going to dry this. And I'm going to add just a few little shadows onto the blanket, some creases here, some shadows underneath the neck right here. And I'm going to add a little bit of black into that manger color. I'm going to add more brown actually too. And I'm going to do his little hair. Okay, so the trick here for this star is I'm going to apply just water first. And my water's a little muggy, which I'm fine with. It's not super clear. It's also not super dark, and it does have a yellow undertone to it. So if you need fresh water, go grab yourself some fresh water. And I am going to do the outside of my star first. And because it's wet, it will start to just bleed and naturally blend. And I'm not coming into my middle, you'll see right now. I can even come into my middle and I can kind of just scoop and just move around some of this yellow, but ideally I want to leave the middle of this star nice and light. So I'm going to dry this. And I'm going to mix up a very vibrant yellow now. I'm going to mix in a little bit of brown, and I'm going to come in my edges and I'm going to touch around the outer parts of my edges, kind of focusing on honestly where my ink marks are. I'm going to dry that. Now I'm going to come in again with a nice bright yellow. Again, I'm going to blend these lines out with just some water. We can just add a little bit more depth. Just like that. Okay, so that was really the fun part. So you can leave it here, or you can take it a step further and you can add a background. So I'm going to add a background just because I think it looks really cool right now. So I'm going to apply some straws. So you're going to see here I'm using some flicks. With that straw color that I had, you'll see I'm also leaving white space. I'm going to dry it. I'm going to come in and add a little bit more depth to it. Again, my goal here is to make sure I am leaving the first layer to shine through, not completely covering it. I'm going to come in with an even darker shade now. And give in the appearance of just some loose straw. Like that. Again, this looks kind of cool how it is. You can leave this, or you can add background as well. I just got myself some fresh water, and I'm going to completely cover, oops, a little bit of green on that brush, some fresh water, and I'm going to try my best to not completely cover my stable with this water. So we're going to be doing the wet on wet technique with this background. And by applying the water, you're just, one, buying yourself more time. Because if you were to apply just the background color straight to this, you run the risk of having like a streaky background. So this definitely helps buy us time. And with the wet on wet technique as well, this is also how we create soft blends in our artwork as well. And the background is not going to be our main focus. So I want there to be some soft blends. Okay, so I'm going to choose a nice light blue color. And I'm going to come in and apply it all over. And you guys can already see that it's just flowy. It's not too bright. I even just add just a hair of darkness. So I'm using a little bit of an indigo color as well for my background. Bringing it in just a little bit. And I have here some table salt. And this will give me a nice starry effect. So while it's still wet, this will not work if your piece is completely dry. And I'm just going to sprinkle just a little bit of salt. Okay, I'm going to come in and do this inner part. Apply some salt in there. And because this is a smaller area, I'm going in with more of a wash. So as I'm going down, I'm going to apply some of that salt, touching it. All right, so after some time, you can just move it away. So you can use table salt, or you can use like sea salt. Sea salt I do like a lot. And then this one, we just did a little bit. You can see how it just made a little bit of a different effect. Just scrub it away. And let's take this off. There you have it, guys. I hope that you had fun with this one and enjoyed painting a little baby Jesus. Happy painting, friends.